Hello, Baron Dividus here with another video for the Board Game Shelf. So this is technically board games, a board game item, but it's also kind of a bit more on the puzzly side. I got this a long time ago. This might have been like a birthday present or something from my parents when I was like, I went through a huge uh, puzzle phase, not jigsaw puzzle, but like the puzzles I showed in the previous video, like these kinds of puzzles. I went through a huge puzzle, like brain teaser, physical puzzle phase as a kid, and so I got this from my parents, and so yeah, Bono 2 Smart games. So these are 2-player games, L game and 3 spot and L game. So essentially, there's a couple neat things about this. This actually opens on 2 sides. So it opens. Oh gosh, there we go. It opens on this side, right? And I'll show you what each side has. But then if you turn it around, it opens on this side as well. So that's where. So this contains both of the games. We'll start with 3 spot. By the way, you can tell which game is which because if you look closely, here above where this opens, there's 3 dots. And then up here, there's an L. So that tells me that this is how I can open L game, and this is how I can open 3 spot, right? So really, really nifty. Really fun practical design. Why is it hard for me to open? There we go. Okay, 3 spot. Here we go. It's also, so apparently these were designed by someone named Bono, essentially. Edward Bono. This gives a little bit of context behind it and like the rules for the game. The rules are very simple for a 3 spot. And they're all here. Essentially, what you see here is so on the box cover you can see the starting position of the game. So just have all three of the rectangles covering these dots here. So just like that. The white piece is placed between the colored pieces, just like that. So one person controls the red piece and one person controls the blue piece, and then the white piece is neutral. So each player chooses one of these 2 colored pieces. These are also not nice, like thick plastic pieces. Really, they're just really good to hold in your hand. Anyway, and also like they fit very nicely in the like they don't move around like too much outside of the confines of the squares. But yeah, so basically one player moves their piece to a new position on the board. At least one of the, it's such that at least one new square has to be covered by the new position. So you can't like pick it up and put it back here, right? You have to you can put it here, or you can put it here, or here, essentially. Let's say I put it here. I take my red piece and I put it here. All right. Then after that, so after you move your piece, then you have to move the white piece to a new position. So let's say I move the white piece here. All right. So now after that, then the blue player goes. So the blue player is going to play their piece here, and they have to move the white piece. And again, the white piece has to move to somewhere different. At least one new square has to be covered. They're going to move the white piece here. So then it's the red player's turn, and so basically I move mine here, and then I move the white piece here, and then the blue player. So that would be a foolish move to do because the way that you score points in this game is you score points for every spot covered by your colored piece. If you look closely, I can take this board off here. There are 3 spots up there. So if it's the blue player's turn, they can score 2 points by moving their piece here, and then they can move the white piece here to cover the rest. And so that means that as the red player, you have to you can't really score anything, essentially. And then the blue piece at this point could go here and score, I believe, 2 more points, essentially. But yeah, you keep going like that, back and forth. The player who reaches 12 points wins if the opposing player has 6 or more points. If the opposing player has less than 6 points, then they're the winner. So there's actually this sort of give and take because you can kind of see how it would be very easy to sort of block the other player from ever getting any points. You could just kind of do this, and then the other player has to do something like this, And you can do this and prevent the opponent and you can basically prevent someone from like getting more points and stuff like that. But if you do that, and if you rack up too many points, then you lose. So you have to make sure that the other player gets at least 6 points before you can race ahead to try to get the final, get to 12. Lots of really clever stuff going on there. And there's a little more context, behind this and like why it was designed this way. For example, Edward de Bono in their note here, basically, you have to keep switching between strategies. For strategy 1, do I score as many points as I can? Strategy 2, do I force the opponent to score points? Strategy 3, do I seek to avoid scoring points? So for any arrangement on the board, the best play may depend on which strategy you are currently using. To try to get as many points as you can, to try to force your opponent to score, or to try to avoid scoring points, and things like that. And so yeah, there's a little bit of a summary and like more context and things like that. So pretty cool. And let's see, I wanted to make sure I didn't like mess anything up in there. Yep, we're good. All right. So now, what is L game? Well, here we go. L game has will probably feel a little bit similar to it. By the way, there used to be two little white plastic circle pieces, but I lost them. So I'm basically using what are these? These are Canadian coins. I can't remember. I'm using Canadian quarters essentially to fill that role. But yeah, once again, some context behind this game and stuff, and like potential strategies or stuff like that, right? But here's how L game is played. So once again, the starting position is basically just like this, essentially, right? That's the starting. Yeah, I don't know if it matters too much. I think, but just to be safe, I'm going to copy what it shows on there. There we go. The starting position is basically just like this, with these two circle pieces here and these two L pieces here. Each player is going to take control of one of these colored pieces, right? One person is going to control the red L, and the other is going to control the blue L. So, on your turn, you lift your L piece, and you place it in any vacant position on the board. And then once again, just like with 3-spot, at least one square that you cover has to be new. So you can't pick it up and put it in the exact same place. So I could, do this. You can flip it around and all that kind of stuff, right? And then after moving your piece, you have the option of moving one of the two neutral pieces here to any new position on the board. So I could, if I wanted to, just leave it like this. Or I could take one of these pieces and move it here. You have the option of moving one of them. So then, the blue player would probably do something like this and choose to leave it like that maybe, and then the red player does this and choose to kind of move like that, and so on and so forth. You keep going, and this time the object of the game is not to score points, but to block the other player so that they can't move their L piece to another position. So let's see, what would be a good example of that? Trying to think here. I think if we did something like this doesn't quite work, does it? What would be a good example of that? I'm drawing a blank here. Winning position. Okay, there are examples of winning positions here, so I'll kind of. I should probably get different pieces to serve as the circles because they're kind of hard to take out. But for example, this is an example of a winning position, right? So basically, if you control the blue piece, if this was how the state of the game was and you controlled the blue piece, you can't really put it anywhere. Like it's here, but you can't place this L piece anywhere else, and so you would lose essentially. That's how the game works. You're trying to basically corner your opponent. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Another very simple but also very sort of puzzly game. I think De Bono's kind of like reason for the making these was sort of they're apparently these games are designed to improve thinking skills, or like lateral thinking essentially, like to cover the thinking involved in changing ideas, perceptions, concepts, and ways of doing things. Instead of just the idea is that with these two games, with Three Spot and L Game, you can't just like accept traditional perception and then just move forward with that. You have to change your perspective throughout both of these games. You have to change your strategy. You have to change the way you're doing things. Lateral thinking is the whole idea. I think those are really cool, clever, sort of ingenious ideas. Unfortunately, I don't really play these games often, if at all. It's another sort of like niche little puzzle thing, but I'm glad to have it. Like I like this box. I like having it. I like what the games stand for and try to do. And I'm glad to know about that they exist. And now you know that they exist as well. And honestly, you don't need a fancy little box like this. Like you just need a grid, and you can cut out pieces and you can just play it anywhere. So it's almost like tic-tac-toe in a way, where you could, if you had enough pieces, if you had like the right pieces, you could just sort of play anywhere you want. Heck, I can even think of like if you only had pencil and paper, you could really just like draw the grid and like the pieces, and then you can just like, then when you make a move, you can scratch that out and draw the game again, and then with like how you move your piece and that kind of thing, right? You could really just do that. Like it's simple enough to do that, and you could still basically get a very similar experience. But yeah, there you go. Those are the Bono 2 Smart Games, L Game, and 3 Spot. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed and learned something, and until next time, all the best.